Hello, good people. This is yours truly, the Morning Garden. I had an interesting week. Fellow co-worker, uh, she and I were discussing gardening, and she wanted to know some things about gardening. What would be what kind of input would it take, or what things to do to improve soil health, and also what type of things would grow well in Zone 7B here in Maryland. And we went back and forth over it. But one thing I must say is that um, until someone sparks a conversation with you, you begin to realize how much information you may have to be able to help someone. You realize that. But it was interesting. We talked about using things like uh, which is oh God, I can't think of it right now, ashes to improve uh, soil, uh, certain inputs that you can put in the soil from the ashes. You can improve pH in certain soils, but it's best to have tests done before you use different types of uh, things like ashes that you may add to your soil to improve your soil overall health. Um, those kind of inputs require you to test, and you could do certain home tests that would help you get a good idea if you should add. Because right now we got the government all over the place. We don't know what's going on, um, and to be able to get accurate information from certain agencies that will help you test your ground and your garden soil, you may not get that information. Things have changed. However, um, improve your soil. The first thing you want to do is improve soil. That's the first thing you want to do is improve soil. Now, and she talked about things like she wanted to know how much is uh, certain items cost, and we talked about fertilizers. We talked about certain kinds of how much water would it take to grow certain crops, um, and where to get water and how to make that cost effective. Because if you do gardening uh, in one way versus another way, you can spend a lot of money in that garden. You could decide to water straight from your house, which I don't. I use rain barrels. And that water also is a better water for your garden, and it's free. I use a 12-volt system, which is a battery, deep cycle battery. I use a 12 uh, volt motor. Shore flow is the one I like. 100 pounds, 100 psi motor, and with 100 feet of hose on it, I can water anywhere on my particular size garden, anywhere I want to. And it's on demand pump. But however, when you do that, you are controlling the cost. You're getting the best water for your garden. Uh, as though if you got it from a stream or you got it from a rain barrel system, it's a better water for your plants instead of using water from your house that will kill the biology in your soil. So that being said, those are things to consider. Also, feeding your plants. We talked about that, and she did a very smart thing. I thought which was she is saving her leaves to create a compost, which I think is a very good idea. A very money saving idea as well. It will save you money. It will improve your soil, and it will. It's a good deal, and it costs you pennies, or it costs you nothing, just time. I hate to go to the store and buy soil conditioners and that sort of thing, and all they made up is wood chips and leaves and things like that. And it's been grounded up and it's been staged up and they create uh, a compost with it, and that's always going to be good for your soil. But why pay for it if each year during the fall season you tend to get a lot of that stuff free anyway? So leaves, I bought a chipper, and I could run pieces of wood through it that are on the property. That's another source of feeding your plants. Also, putting them around the base of certain trees and plants to keep the soil moist during the summer, so you don't have to water a lot. You just simply use it as a mulch around your plants. That is an absolute plus. But you also have the tree service individuals that you can contact in your area and ask them, could they drop tree cuttings on your property? And you want to be home when it happens, of course, but they'll be more than happy to drop that stuff. And so you want to call them up and say, hey, call me when you get some wood that's been uh, chipped up, and we can set it up. And you come on my property and drop it. But be prepared for that, because I did it once before, and it's an awful lot of wood to get at one time. I had 3 truckloads drop, and I discovered that it was more work than I wanted to put in. But I finally got it done. But it was more work than I wanted to put in. It was so much wood uh, sitting. It covered my entire driveway. But that being said, it stimulated my soil to the point where I had worms everywhere. They ate very well. The worms did, and it changed uh, the the health of our soil, improved things greatly in the soil, and to the point where when I put in my fruit trees, instead of them being standard size dwarf trees, these trees were dwarfs, but they were close to 23 and 25 feet tall, and they're dwarfs. Bought them at Stock Brothers, and according to their packaging, it said how big they would most likely become once they mature, but they got much bigger than that, much bigger. So that's how that works. But good people, I got to tell you, especially now in this time and age, I've been talking about this for years, and I am so happy that I did gain the knowledge to get a garden started. And and tomorrow I got to go out and trim some trees. I'm not going to chip it up as of yet, but I'm going to stack it in an area so I can go back and chip it up, because the trees are really big, really kind of taking over certain areas, and that's okay. I got 2 more trees got to be put in the ground, um, which is for this area. I got a Russian uh, variety of oh god, what the pomegranate for the Zone 7B, and because I tried Delicious, and Delicious does not like this soil. I mean, excuse me, Delicious don't like how cold it gets here in the winter, and so that's how that works. And then I have another uh, tree that's got to go in. It's called a Bartlett, and I have that one that's going to cross with another pear tree called a Delicious. So those two are compatible uh, to cross with. So that being said, I loving it. I'm loving it. All right. Good morning. Good morning. All right. Sue Miller. Good morning. All right. And so that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. The name of the game is growing great soil. That's the most important part. But you could grow everything you need in your yard, and you can save a lot of money if you know how to grow what you need. Like I said before, things such as the most important thing is fertilizer for your plants. You got grass clippings, you got leaves, you got if you have any trees in your area, You cut those off, ground those up, and put them around the base of your trees or at the base of your plants. Um, uh, Grass clippings are loaded with nitrogen. If you have a bagging mower, you could bag them up, and that way you could, while you're cutting the grass, take it to certain areas of your yard where you're going to use them. And grasses are definitely a plus. For certain time of the year when you got spring and summer, you can use the grass clippings. In the fall, you can collect the leaves and put those in a pile and let them break down over time. And if you do any fishing, of course, they're gonna uh, they're gonna be full of worms eventually if you put them in the right location. The leaves are gonna create a beautiful habitat for big, beautiful night crawlers to be in your pile, and that's a plus. Night crawlers are great for when you go out. You take a small piece, put on a number 10 hook, drop it down, catch you a couple small bait fish spot like that, hook them, drop them down, and you get you some big old bass, or you get you some snakeheads, or you get you some what else can you get with them? Oh my goodness, northern pike here in this area. Um, you can get rockfish with them. It's just a whole uh, uh, a bunch of fish that you can get instead of going to the bait shop buying little minnows like this, and they hide, I don't know what they hide, their high price bait. But you get your number 10 hook, put you a bit, just a tad bit of worm on that hook and a float, stick the hook in them, take them off, put them on your other line, and let them swim around, and a big old fish will grab that bait. And you'll be like, yes, now this is what I want. Big piece of bait that you didn't pay anything for. All because you're using your environment to your advantage. This has been the Morning Gardener. Thank you so much, so much, so much. Oh, wait a minute. Greetings. Ah, yes. Food Farmers Permaculture stopped in. He is a master gardener, just like Miss Sue Miller. She's out there doing her thing. And if you want to learn how to grow fruit trees and fruit bushes, you can get in touch with Food Farmers Permaculture. He has a great deal of knowledge. Of course, when you be watching this video at a different time, because I have two people on right now, but you'll go in and you'll see this video, and you can go right to his channel, and he'll be able to help you. Lemon trees are blooming. Oh, okay. Did you do any videos of the blooming lemon trees? The only thing I have in my yard now, I believe, I picked 30 lemons. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Good job. Good job. I will tomorrow. Okay, he's gonna do his video on it tomorrow. Okay. And I just want you to know that I do have some um, I do have apple trees now. I think the only ones I had left after the vines came through and kind of destroyed some of my trees. But apple trees are what I have. I might still have some cherry trees. Um, and I still have some, like I said, pear trees because they grow tall and the vines haven't choked them off as of yet because they grow quite tall outside the area of the vines. But I don't know where these vines came from. But after a period of time, they all was there. They was just there. My neighbor is from Africa, so she loved getting citric here. And all right, okay. Your neighbor's from Africa. Let's do Colorado. I think it's Colorado. Canada. I gotta say this to you. My site ain't what it used to be, but it's improving. Uh, when I wake up and I've been up for a little while, I can focus in a little better. But I will say this is that hi Sue. Okay, that's Sue. Yep, Sue Miller. Excellent person. I've been talking to back and forth online for years. Thanks. No, thumbs up. See that? I can't even see that. But I will say this is that um, I want to go out there tomorrow and have some fun with uh, it's a technique that I've been watching online, and I'm gonna throw this out there. Food farm permaculture. This is not new to you. This is not new, most likely to Miss Sue Miller. It's not. But here's how it works. I'm studying now more of Chinese farming and gardening. The reason for that, because I saw something. Every time I look at their videos, they show these insane techniques that I don't see a lot of uh, the American gardeners or farmers do. They're insane what they do. They took a tree that was a fruit tree and they bend the branches down and they put a little clip on it. It's called a branch. I think it's called branch bender, or so they changed the way that the tree grows. Instead of growing a bunch of leaves and growing a whole bunch of uh, other parts of the tree to just keep their limbs, it focuses more on growing fruit. So it changes the tree and the tree's focus, and now the tree is focused more on fruit development. Now this is something I didn't take much stock in at first, but when I saw some of the videos and I saw the trees loaded, I mean absolutely loaded with fruit, and it showed this woman and a male, and they were bending the branches downward, and they were putting these clips on them, and they said bend the branches down at a 45 to 60-degree angle, and it changes how the tree behaves when it grows. And I got to try that. Absolutely, I have to try that. It allows you to have the tree focus on what we call fruit development. And that is yes, bend the branches down. Oh, okay. Okay? You said bend the branches down. There, say videos up on lemons and growing oranges too. Okay. Well, I know you have a lot of stuff growing. But I want to ask you something else. Not necessarily changing the subject, but um, I saw something today where a gentleman that was fishing, he put a little tiny bit, it's a bit of worm on the hook. And when he did it, he took the worm on a number 10 hook, he called it. I have number 10 hooks as well, but he put it on there. And when he dropped it in, he caught he was around the banks. He was catching these little minnows and putting them on his bigger rod so he can catch big bass. And I thought that was really unique because most people, when we fish here in Maryland, and I watch people constantly, they go and they go in the bait store and they bring this bucket in there, and the guy charges them an arm and a leg for minnows, and they put some water in a bucket, and you head your boys fishing. Some of them are dying while you're going in, some of them are alive, and some of them are really big, and you hook them and you put them in there, and you catch fish, and it runs your cost up because you're buying baits that you don't need. And I've seen when it was cost effective at one time to buy worms at Walmart. But now worms are really expensive. So what I do now is when I grow my compost piles, I'll lay a piece of cloth over that pile, and it'll bring all the worms up to the top, big night crawlers. And when you pull the covering back, you just start grabbing your night crawlers. And sometimes you get 2 dozen, 3 dozen, 4 dozen before they all head back down into the compost. And then you cover it back up. And you take your cup out there with a little bit of compost in the cup. You go out there and you fish all day. Come back, whatever worms you may have left over, toss them back in the compost pile. I used to take worms that I had left over from Walmart before I became familiar with this technique, and I would dump them into the compost pile, and they would go in there and breed and create more worms. And I said, wow, that will work. Worm bins are awesome. Okay, yeah. I tried to do the worm bin thing, but I said, wait a minute. If I could put the worms in my compost pile and cover them over with a piece of cloth and wet it down uh, and pull it back, and you got big night crawlers stacked together like that mating. You got big night crawlers that start pulling themselves down into the compost as soon as they see the light, and you just get your little spade and pull them out, pull them out. Yeah, that's fun. And then when you catch all your worms the day before or the day of, you head on to fishing. And you use your worms to catch your little bait fish. Let's say if you want something big, you use that to fish around the banks with a little float and catch your little bait fish with a little skinny bobber on there, and let them and just snag them in the mouth, uh, put them on your big rod, cast that out with a float on it, and you see the float go under. You either got a big cat, or you got a big rock, or you got a bass, and the fish is twitching and moving, and you catching fish. And then you get home, you got your collard greens and your cabbage and cucumbers, and you can make all kinds of salads and hot foods and um, tomatoes. You got your fresh food right from your garden. That's called living the right way. That's what I call it. That's what I call it. 12 night crawlers are $5. Wow. You just said $5 for night crawlers. I never spent that much for night crawlers, but I understand. I understand. That's some serious money. And I don't buy them. As long as I have a garden where I can lay down a piece of cloth material and wet it down, I got night crawlers. And then one time I took some red wigglers and dumped them in compost pile, and I learned something that day. The night crawlers were more towards the middle and the lower part of the compost. The red wigglers were more on top of the compost, and they were in large numbers. So I said, okay, I like this. I don't have to buy worms. But I tried making those worm probes. They say that electrical shock or whatever stimulate the worm to come forward. I am steelhead fishing next month. They are saltwater rainbows. Wow! Oh my goodness! A great 20 pounds steelheads. I've never done any steelhead fishing. It sounds like fun. It sounds like fun. It sounds like fun. And I remember one of the worst experiences I got once before I bought my boat. I went out on a boat, and a guy was out there fishing. He took us out. It was $80 a person, and when we got out there, he seemed like he didn't want to be bothered. He didn't want to be. He didn't want to. He didn't want to even look in your direction. He just said, "All right, we're going out. We're going to cast over to the left. Don't cast to the right." I'm sitting over on that side of the boat, and I was like, "Oh man, I really don't like to fish with this guy. I do not like this guy. I do not like fishing with this guy." And the whole trip was horrible because I mean it was poor communication. And he said things like, before we went out, he said, "We got plenty of bait. Don't worry about the bait." Because I said, what kind of baits are we going to need? So I know what to tell the fellas we need to get. He said, "Don't worry about it. We got it covered." Yeah. I couldn't believe what he did. He had 6 guys on that boat. He brought 1 cup, 12 night crawlers. That was it. And the guys were like, they were saying that I put that trip together. I said, no, I didn't put it together. I let everybody have their say before we went. Talk to the guy. Here's his number. Find out what we like, what he's doing, and then we'll decide whether or not we want to go. That's exactly what I said. Yep, I remember that. It was horrible. And after I left there, um, we all. I mean, my neighbor went and bought him a boat, and about a week and a half later, I bought me a boat. Yep, I remember that. Yep, I remember that. All right, good people. Thank you very much for stopping by. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. And we'll do this again real soon. Thank you. The Morning Gardeners Show. Yes.